Hi everyone, welcome to Third World Garage with another exciting video on cheap electronics. Now this is kind of a reshoot of yesterday's video where, well, I tried to shoot a video of this thing. People told me the audio came out absolutely terrible, so I deleted that from YouTube. If you're wondering where it went, it fell into the abyss of the unknown. And so I'm just reshooting it today. And I'm going to try to make it a little more brief, this first part. Second part, we're going to go ahead and install this in a car with some speakers, namely these JBL's Stage 600C speakers. I'm not going to use the factory tweeters that are in the car, which is a 2005 Mini Cooper, if you haven't guessed by looking at my other videos, but nobody seems to watch those videos, so that's okay if you didn't. And these are really cheap. On eBay, I think I paid $37 shipped to my house for a set of component speakers, 6.5-inch woofer. Polypropylene woofer, has a little vent port at the back. The magnet's a bit stronger than the ones on the original, which was a paper cone speaker, and I also had to add a 1-inch spacer. Now make sure you get the spacer that has the right internal diameter. I didn't, and I wound up having to hack the crap out of the spacers I got just so that they would fit the door. And those will be going in today, along with staying with the factory tweeters, because I just see no reason to upgrade from a silk dome to this cheap Mylar piece of crap. And anyway, there's the speakers that'll be used with this thing. And going with our really cheap theme, this is was formerly $10 car stereo on Walmart.com. It says established in Germany since 1923. Kind of odd sounding for English. Download the app and take the control. Again, sounds odd if it was written by somebody who's a native speaker of the English language. So, stream music wirelessly and use your speaker as a speakerphone. Okay, that's not bad English. Let's go ahead and open it up, see what we got inside. Because I did unbox it yesterday, let's just pretend I'm taking it out of a piece of packaging for the first time. On the front we can see rest. So push this button if you want to rest. And pow! Mute! An onomatopoeia for hitting somebody in the face or something in English. And yes, I do jest, but if you are the Chinese designers of this device, in English, when we abbreviate something, A, E, I, O, and U, the vowels are eliminated. So it would be RST or PWR for power. RST for reset, PWR for power. So, and you look at the Blaupunkt name, you think, wow, German quality. Yeah, that's like saying the Mini Cooper is German. Actually, it is German quality. It means it's pretty horrible. But, yeah, it's a zombie brand at this point. Blaupunkt hasn't existed as its original corporation with its original patents since 2009. And then it was bought out by another company who lost a lot of the engineering rights to Bosch, who was the parent company of Blaupunkt at that point. And then they themselves went out of business. Even though they were making their stuff in China, they couldn't make a go of it, and sold the name, the intellectual property rights, I guess, to some company in China in 2016. So anything made since 2016 is just rebranded Chinese stuff. And in fact, you can sometimes find the head units that are being sold as Blaupunkt as no-name brand stuff too. The same exact front end, same everything. And we can see, once again, cheap generic Chinese remote control. That looks awful familiar to this cheap generic Chinese remote control. If we flip it this way, that comes with one of these little Bluetooth speaker modules. This one's the non-Bluetooth version, but just humor me. There's a Bluetooth version too. And so I think they're probably using the same chipset inside, or one of the same chips. This one's a little different. This one's the non-Bluetooth. This one's Bluetooth. And a lot of these have arrived to me DOA. And so that's why I have quite a few of them around. And they usually come to me by way of Kyrgyzstan. Probably trying to circumvent tariffs or something, I don't know. But anyway, that's the way those are. Now inside we have a little wiring harness kit. As you can see, the wires, they're not copper. They're aluminum wire. Aluminum wire corrodes more. It's not as good for audio as using copper. It just isn't. Now this supposedly does have 20 watts, well 40 watts in total, 10 watts per channel. And from what I've read online, you can actually take these and you can make them you can bridge the circuits so that your left front and left rear bridge together as two 20 watt channels, and so you have a 20 watt left, 20 watt right, and so you could use this pretty easily in a Bluetooth speaker application if you can set it up to run enough voltage and current. And of course you do want to worry about that when you're building your Bluetooth speaker, because that's going to drain your battery quickly, and you want to look at the battery life before you do any of this sort of thing, because it's no good to have a half-hour battery life no matter how good the thing sounds. Now it does come with French instructions, I think that's French, and English instructions. The English instructions are here. It doesn't really tell you too much. And the bridge monitor thing is not supported in here, so just realize you could be costing yourself $10 or $13 now, plus in my case it was $7 shipping from Walmart.com. And they want to hear from you, and if you send them a screenshot of your review and such, they'll send you a charger and cable. And the reviews on QVC.com do not qualify for this offer. Oh no. Well, I'll make sure I don't leave my review there. Now, if we look on the back, we have two RCAs. We have this one, which, according to the other review I've seen of this, really doesn't do anything. That's a 3.5 millimeter input, and then a USB in the back, as well as a USB in the front. So you can probably use that to charge up your device. The standard antenna port, your standard Molex style connector that mates with this, and this actually does lock in really nice and secure. Now to take it apart, what do you need? Well, you need a screwdriver to pop the front off. There's not even any screws holding this thing together. There we go. And then we can try to angle this so the camera catches it. And we can take it apart. Now you can see, really not much to it. Here's your op amp. It's got the thermal paste on it. Yep. And you got that little tuner chip there. I'm assuming that's the tuner chip. And my neighbor's alarm is going off on their car. That's just lovely. Clock chip. These are all the pins to run the LCD. And just take my word for it, because it's hard to get this thing back together. On the front, there is no lens between the glass of the LCD and the front of the unit. They cut costs there too. The buttons, kind of cheap to the touch. But it does take a flash card, and it will connect to your phone, and you can make phone calls with it. It has a little electret microphone right there. Not exactly of the highest quality, but it does work, and it's better than you got in a lot of phones. And it's important to remember this is something you're going to get delivered to your door for less than 20 bucks. So, you know, a few quality issues here and there are kind of forgivable. You do see some remains of some solder flux there. That's a little bit sloppy on their part, but overall, it's not bad. I mean, the components are soldered in well. It doesn't look like it's constructed poorly. It's your standard ABS plastic front anyway, and little tack switches, which are really cheap to put in there. And then one of the bad things about this, and I'll go into this when I do the second part of the review when it's in the car, is that it's only one color, and that color is blue. Now, for those of you familiar with the BMW's very expensive attempt to make a cheap car that's unreliable, and they really succeeded in making it unreliable. But those cars have a red illumination. This has only a blue illumination. Blue is not the best thing for your eyes at night. It's actually damaging the same way that it's the blue light in welding that hurts your eyes. So it's kind of like UVC light almost. It's really not good for you. So I probably won't keep this in there long term, but you know, for now it's gonna work okay as a radio. Why am I replacing it? I'll show you the factory radio here. You'll notice that this is in pieces. It's made by Alpine, but see this knob here that's kind of fallen off in time? That is $15 for just the rubber knob piece. Not for the whole switch, just the knob. And then it doesn't have good reception, which could be down to the antenna amplifier module in the car, which that car does have. It's, if you're wondering and you have one of those Mini R50 or R53 Mini Coopers, it's located above the right back speaker. Under the plastic there's a little module that's for the antenna amplifier, and that can go bad just like every other piece of electronics in a worthless German car. But it also gets poor reception, and it doesn't have and the volume knob skips around. It doesn't want to actually work. This will, but the nice thing is this does integrate with the steering wheel controls, which this will not. There's no provision for that, just like there's no provision for the microphone that came with the car, or for any microphone outside of the front. But again, you got to think about the price. You're still getting Bluetooth for $10. So that's why this radio is not going back in the car. It's just not worth fixing. I can add something with a lot better, more modern features for less money than just the cost of the knob. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about setting this up. Now for the Mini Cooper, here we have our adapter plate. I'm not overly pleased with it because it shouldn't be textured here. It should be smooth, just like the rest of the front of the car, but that's a minor quibble. All we're going to do to put this in, and maybe I'll just make this one video. Sit here and see how this is pretty close, no cigar. I'm going to try to find one that will allow us to bend the tabs out and hit the, move this back to where you can see it, and hold it in. And again, I'm not overly concerned with this because it's probably not going to be, a permanent stereo solution for this car. Because even though I'm not putting too much money into this car, I can still afford to do better than this on stereo. It will probably drive me nuts. It was originally going to be my new commuter car. I'm going to go ahead and bend that over so it pushes against there. Take this one, do the same thing. And then we'll do the same thing on top. Here's our trusty Walmart multi-tool. Push that in there. And once again, the mini screwdrivers also came from Walmart, part of their Stanley line a few years ago. They probably don't sell them anymore. Okay. Now, for those of you who've never done that before, and you never were curious as a kid, never had a beater, your mommy and daddy bought you a new car, and now you're poor and working in the McDonald's because you had to get student loans to take, you know, ancient African studies or ancient Greek studies or something like that, which has no job prospects. Yeah, there's how you do that. Okay, now we're going to talk about putting this in. Okay, and actually I think I'm going to pause it here because it's getting too long.